Yo, it's your girl Yalanda Yo Winston, and it's time for Yo Knows. And I have a special guest here, Miss Sarah Flip Game Wright of the 360 Right Way. So, welcome. Thank you for coming again.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it so much. So we always get started talking about mindset. So we're gonna do a little bit different this time. We don't have
Mr. Right.
I know, you know I was about to go there. So this is ladies talk.
But don't worry, you got always Mrs. Right, okay?
Yes. Always have the right information. And I love to start off with mindset because I know that's a big thing for you guys' brand. So we're talking to investors today, you guys.
Okay.
So if you are an investor, no matter where you are, Huntsville, no matter where you are, we're able to help you. So let me, I know you guys focus more on financial literacy. Are you still offering classes
Absolutely.
and seminars? Okay.
Absolutely. We still offer classes at the WrightWay360.com.
Okay.
And there's a self-paced, so you don't really need us, but we still do mentoring. I mean, we have different tiers, what fits your budget needs. Of course, you know, we teach about financial literacy, so we got to worry about people's budget.
Right. To start with the beginning. Yes. In order to get the property first, you have to get the money. All right. So let's start with mindset. What mindset shifts should an investor make before they start looking at properties?
Scarcity. If you are afraid, you're not going to do it. No matter how much information you receive or you get the knowledge, but if you're scared, it's not going to happen. So we have to work on that. Why am I scared? Those are questions I want. Why am I scared? Is it the money? Ask yourself those questions and then find the answer to them.
Right.
So for me, it's always scarcity. A lot of people is afraid.
Scarcity mindset. I will not have enough. I can agree with that. What if it doesn't work out and I don't have enough to pay my mortgage on my house?
And you know what happens if you don't pay your mortgage? They take it away.
Yeah.
And then some people is afraid of like the upkeep also.
Oh, okay.
Because, you know, a lot of people's like, I'd rather rent because I don't have to worry about the lawn, the roof, or the AC or water or anything like that. They usually pick up the phone and call the landlord and have it taken care of. Now you are responsible to do all of those things.
Right.
So
how, that's a great question, and it is not on my sheet, but I love to just ad lib because you guys bring up great things. What advice do you give someone to have that money set aside for the repairs as the landlord? Because your tenant wants it fixed now. They're not trying to wait on your paycheck to come or rent to come from the next tenant to come in. So what advice do you give investors to make sure they have money to do those repairs?
I tell them to budget first. You have to have a budget. Once you budget, you know exactly how much money you have, and you're able to do those things real quick. So if anything, just have a different account that you could put money in there for those fix-up.
Okay.
For any, because it's going to happen. Let's not say it's going to happen. So you just have to have that on the side and don't overspend.
Right.
Or if you're buying a property, don't overbuy a property. So keep it low. So when you're investing, we invest low and then we build it up and so on. But if you try to invest all the way up top, 200, 300, and you don't have the money, you have to fix it. You're going to put yourself in trouble.
Yeah, because your tenant might leave or they might report you or something, and now you have to fix it.
Right, or they don't pay.
Ooh, they stop paying, now
paying.
you're the slumlord that everybody doesn't want to deal with. Wow. So is there a certain percentage of the rent or a ratio that you suggest people use to put up their reserve?
I would say 10%.
Okay, that's not bad.
That's not bad at all. Just put 10%. Or if you don't, another thing that you can do is have insurance on some of your things in your home. So that helps a whole lot. But if you don't have insurance on your appliances, the AC and things like that, you have to usually a new AC unit is about 5K and up. So you kind of want to figure out the numbers. You got to do the math correctly, where you can say, okay, I need to save more than 10%.
Yeah.
And then once you do that, then you're okay. But things always happen anyway. But you know, just about 10%, you should be good. A month,
yeah, per
per
rent.
unit, yes.
Yeah. Right, per unit, exactly. Wow. So when you say insurance, we're talking about like homeowners.
Not
or
homeowner.
property.
There's insurance for I can't remember the name of the insurance that insures your stove,
Oh,
oven,
yeah, home warranty,
refrigerator,
the home warranties.
and things like
Okay.
that. If you and you can still get it after the fact also,
Yeah.
and you just pay for that,
And you
then
put that on the rent on the investment properties. That's
put it on
smart.
the investment properties.
Okay. Because, yeah, it's 90 degrees, 100 degrees here in Alabama. And the first day, our AC decided to go out. So
It always does that. It never fails.
once it starts working, it's like, I'm
And then-
tired.
or the early winter, and you get the phone call, my heat's not working. You're like, ah! And so you have to hurry up and get that done. And you pray that's not during the weekend.
Yeah.
Because it's going to cost you more if you're trying to call somebody, or some people here in Huntsville don't work on the weekend, so
Right.
they have to wait until a working day, which is a Monday.
Wow. Landlord. Okay, so we were talking about tenants. So how should an investor figure out what type of renter or tenant they want to serve?
Well, it is your preference. Okay. For me, what I do is I do have an interview with them. So I'm on the phone with them a lot and trying to get to feel their energy or synergy. And if they work well, I'm like, okay, they're easy to work with. Okay, so let's send the next process. Of course, you know, you got to do the background checks, and you got to have your deposits and your first month rent, or whatever what your stipulations are. And once all that is done, I'll have them in.
Okay.
I mean, you really have to do that. That interview.
Okay.
It's just like, you know, going to a job. When you go to, when you apply for a job and they call you in to do an interview, they're trying to figure out if you fit in with the
Right.
team. So it's the same thing for me. We
Okay.
try to figure out, do they fit in with our team? And if they do, they get the property, and their background is clear too.
Right, you have
Background
certain
yes,
criteria they
certain
have to.
yes, so background has to be cleared, and then we can proceed.
Okay. Do you suggest that investors maybe target a certain type of demographic? I know they can't get into
yeah.
anything that's going to violate fair housing,
Correct.
obviously, but you know sometimes it might be a particular age, or well, no, because that's fair housing.
All of it is fair housing.
Right, but when I think of age, I think of people who may not want steps. So
Okay.
you know that your demographic is not going to be an age group or somebody that wants to deal with steps and stairs, you know, things like that. Maybe the size of it. What type of advice do you give investors when they're deciding on those factors? If they want, and I know I'm throwing out a lot of things, so you can just catch one: a duplex versus a house. How do they just what
Decide which
advice?
one they want?
Yeah.
We're in business to make money, so if the deal makes sense, I'm sorry, we're going to purchase. Now, the demographic, they're already there. They're already in that neighborhood where you are purchasing your
Yeah.
property, so you know it's going to work.
Yeah.
Now, of course, you're going to have some people with some preferences, like, well, it doesn't have a step. That particular client is not for you.
Right.
So you just have to
right.
find the client that fits your building, your property.
Your property,
Yes.
right.
And a lot of times they come and do like a walkthrough, and they can see themselves if this will fit for them. Some of our properties is we have the capability to convert it to someone that is disabled, but some of our property are not.
Right.
So we just have to let them know, like, look, this is what it looks like. Come look at it, so they know what works for them, what doesn't work, and then we go from there. So if it doesn't work, it's not your fault. You just don't have a property that fit that particular client.
Yeah, and yeah, some things are a little easy to
Yes.
put the railings in the bathrooms
Right.
and the ramp, and now they have access.
That's true.
Okay, what about those investors that, because I've worked with those investors that I guess use their personal preference whether or not they would live there. What advice do you have? What advice do you have for those investors that are looking more towards their preference in the property versus their target tenant's preference in the property?
Good question. I'm going back for me. This is my motto. If I won't live there, I'm not renting it.
Okay.
I wouldn't put my mother in it. Why would I rent it to anybody else? So when I am cleaning and fixing it up, I do make sure that it's livable. I'm not going to put like the really expensive stuff in there, but I'll put in medium grade things, and so because it's all about money, you have to make sure the math is mathing.
Yes.
You don't want to put too much, and you can only rent for less than how much you put into the home, and so you're not coming out even at all. So you got to be. Everything has to be a smart investment strategy, and it's usually a math thing. If you're not a math person, get somebody that's a good math person. Get that number going. I'm the math person. I'm like, that was not going to work.
Yeah,
yes,
the math is not math.
No, if the math is not math, and my husband always say, we married the deal, not the property.
I'm gonna need y'all to trademark that, because I've been telling people that as an agent, I'm like, look, because they start talking about the numbers, and I'm like, okay, look, you marry the deal, fall in love with the deal, not the property. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about exit strategies. How early in the investment process should an investor define their exit strategy?
Man, I hope everybody's listening to this. At the very beginning, like the beginning, not in the middle, not toward the end. You need to know when you're buying a property, what is my exit? If this happened, let's not say if, we're gonna say when. When this happened, what's my next step? You have to be ahead of the game. You don't wanna be behind the game, because when it's right there in your face, you're not gonna have too many opportunity to move. Right. And pivot. So we just need you to know your exit property from day one when you decide you want to go into the investment area of your life.
It's a lie. So they say that you make the money at the beginning of the transaction, because you understand the exit strategy.
Yes.
And you know, okay, if you're going to flip it, how much you need to put into it. If you're going to hold it, how much you probably need to put into it over the course of time.
Yep. And then you also got to, when you said about the demographic, sometimes even with decorating, you also got to know your demographic from there. Because if you know, there's certain areas that they don't want this, but they want that. Okay, so let's look at other buildings and other apartments, see what they are doing, and mimic it. And okay, so they like this type of feel into your apartment, because you want your apartment or your property to move faster.
Definitely.
You don't want to sit on it, because if you sit on it, you're losing money. You know? So we need it to move fast.
Paying them mortgage out of pocket.
Yes.
Whew. Ain't nobody got time for that.
If you don't have anybody in there, remember we said we need that exit strategy? That goes to your exit strategy right there. So what am I, if I can't get anybody in 6 months, what am I doing with that property now?
Okay.
You know, because you may not, because we don't know if it's going to be a renter's market. You know, we don't know. So you know a little bit, you know, you'll be able to understand where the trajectory is going, but you're not going to always know pinpoint exactly to the T that, and you'll be able to rent your property in 1 month. We don't know that. Or you maybe 2 months. And I've shown my property multiple times before someone actually said, okay, I want it.
Wow.
So you never know. And it's because of things that they didn't want in the property, whether, there's too many steps. The bathroom, the entryway is too small, too narrow, and you need something wider. And so it's always, you don't know what particular client you're going to have. Right.
So. You have an idea of who you want, and then, like you said, based off of the area that you purchased the property, the demographic selects you. You're pretty much buying into that community and that demographic.
Correct.
So you have to think about that. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, management. Let's talk about how do you manage? How do you advise someone to determine if they want to self-manage or hire a property manager? A flip of a coin sometimes, huh?
Okay. Wow. Okay.
I probably would. Some tenants I probably be like, you know what?
I need a manager.
You need a property manager, because I am not answering the phone at 2 o'clock because your kid will flush something down the toilet.
I'm like, what are you doing in the bathroom? Why? I fixed that situation like 3 times in less than a year. What are you doing?
Right. Wow.
So I'm gonna go with. I self-manage, we self-manage, but I have the capability to do that, and we have the manpower to do that. Okay. So if you don't have the manpower, I would suggest you just go ahead and get a property manager, because the tenants will call you at any time, any moment, and you do have to get it done, what they're calling you for problem-wise. Now, if you're self-managed and you don't have the manpower, it can be an issue. Right. And sometimes they have to wait a little longer. And some of the tenants are really understandable. And as long as we keep that communication open, usually they're okay with it. And then you have some tenant that they called you today, And a few hours later, they're calling you again. I'm like, I'm trying to get somebody there now. I'm trying to get someone there. And then there's some, tenants okay with waiting a little bit. But I try to get it done as fast as possible. Yep.
And so that's another thing, I guess, when you talk about the team, having those
Yes.
contractors and everybody lined up so that you can call them and get someone out. So for an investor that doesn't have that team up and ready yet, it is probably to their advantage to get a property manager until they have that team.
Yep, that part, because the property manager has everything that you need. So if something happens to the home, they call the property manager. You could still be sleeping on your bed, snoring.
Exactly. And is it
in that
still
deep dream
of making the next property?
Yes. So they have a team. So they have someone that will work on their AC for you. If electrical problems happening, they have someone. They have an electrician. If the roof is leaking, honey, especially around rain season. I hate rain season for that reason. I'm like, I know there's going to be a roof leaking somewhere.
One of something.
Something.
There's a ratio.
Right. So they'll have all that taken care of. Of course, they will call you first before they do a specific job, or sometimes you can give them like a allotment. Okay, if it costs more than $500, call me.
Right.
If it's less than that, you can just go ahead and do it.
Right. And is it still about 10%?
It is. It's still 10%.
That is, to me, that's worth it. $10 for every $100.
Sometimes it's worth it, especially if you have a difficult
That's
tenant.
what I'm saying. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. This type of business is not for the faint.
It's not.
At
I
all.
already know. I'm property manager all the way.
You are.
Oh yeah. We've had a property before, and the property manager, it was great. I mean, there were aspects of it that weren't so great, like they evicted the tenant before we even knew the tenant was getting evicted.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
They
We just got a bill from an attorney, and we were like,
wow.
You just evicted the tenant.
And you didn't say nothing?
But the tenant violated the contract, and they went through. Now, had we been self-managing, we probably said, oh, everybody falls on bad luck sometimes. Exactly.
In the beginning, that's exactly what I was doing. And I'm okay with working with people, especially if they're single mom. It's dear to me. And so I'm like, okay, well, how can we make this work? When can you do this? When can you do that? Now, if you fall back, I'm gonna be like, hey, you told me, all right, it's time to get those papers going, because we had to evict, and it's not easy. People think it's very easy. No, it's not.
No, the process is not easy.
The process is hard, and it makes you feel so bad because you're kicking out a family. And they have children, and you're like, but 5 months you didn't pay? I'm sorry.
I have a family and children
right,
too. Yeah.
I'm not your parents. I have children that I have to take care of.
That's what made it easier for us having a property manager, because we didn't have a personal attachment to our tenants. We didn't know them. It's not that I guess we did purposely do that for that very reason, so that it could be strictly business.
But you do get a attachment to your tenant.
Yeah, you talk to them every year.
Yes, because I'm talking to them all the time. They're communicating. I get to know the kids, and I'm like, oh, we have it feels like they're a part of my family.
Yeah.
Actually, they are, because they're in your property. So it's like they become part of your family. Then when you have to do the hard things, when you have to do business things, and you're like, oh man, I really don't want to kick these family out, but I have to, because if I don't pay that mortgage, we both gonna lose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're gonna lose. Yeah,
we're both gonna lose, and they probably don't, give you the chance to take yourself out. And they just turn that, change the lock. You can't come back in at all, including the landlord.
Yeah, wow.
Or the property owner.
The property owner. Yeah, that's what we're not gonna do. So that's. I mean, and I kind of went into the next question of what strategies or systems should an investor have in place to manage multiple properties.
Spreadsheet.
A spreadsheet.
A spreadsheet. Because you gotta know. Okay, so what I do is I have all the properties on a spreadsheet, and then there's something that needs to be fixed. Even the paint color, if I painted one of the property a different color, I have what color that is.
Okay.
So if we have to go do a touch up, we have the color of the paint.
Look at you, all the way down to the paint color.
Yes, paint color. And we also, if we have to send out a ticket, like something is broken or whatever, I got to write it in there.
Okay.
And of course, you remember, if it's their responsibility, let's say they put a hole in the wall and they want you to fix it, that comes out of their
Oh yeah, their rent.
Their rent. That comes out of
You
their
add-
rent.
yeah,
You
you
put a
add it.
hole in my wall? No. So you have to fix it unless they fix it themselves. That's
Right,
different. And paint it. And if they call me, yeah, hopefully, which normally they don't.
They don't.
They don't.
You may not want them to because you may.
Yeah, that's true.
And look at how it made us.
Like, well, the
it's
wall was
fixed.
once smooth. Why is the whole wall down?
I just put a picture on top of it.
Oh my gosh, I hope they never do that. Oh, it's great.
Sorry, y'all. Bad. Y'all know I'm a bad influence. I love how this is just flowing because the next question is asset protection.
Yeah.
So this falls into kind of two categories. How should they protect their asset with the tenant in it? And then the second part, and I'll repeat it if we have to, what system should they put in place to protect a growing portfolio? So the first one is asset protection tenant-wise, and then to protect the asset. What strategies do you use to protect your assets?
Tenant-wise, like so to protect the tenant?
To protect your property.
Oh, my property. Okay.
Yeah, with the tenant inside. Because I've had this conversation with you, and I know the answer, but I want you to share it because I think it's a great, it's just a great strategy to have.
Few. First, insurance. Make sure all your homes have insurance because you never know what's going to happen if they burn the place down.
Oh, you guys had a fire.
Yes, we had a fire, but we have insurance. We keep insurance on all our property. Second thing is to have an LLC for each property. Well, that should be number one because you want an LLC. They need to stand on their own, each property, when it comes to the business. And then to pass it on, you better have a trust.
Yeah.
My favorite friend, Demetrius Curry, would say that you will go into probate.
If you have a will,
you will go into probate.
So a will is not enough.
And will is not enough. You can have it written down like what you want, but you need that trust because when you are not there, you want to keep it not into the family. You want to keep it in the family, so the trust will have it where it is still there for your children's children, if they do right now.
Right.
If they do right. But that's the same thing. You still have to educate them on because you don't want them to lose something you created.
Yeah.
So the WrightWay360 is a family-owned business, and they are very much aware of, you have to pay your taxes. These things need to be fixed, and a lot of time we will have them paint the homes after the people have left. And we're like, okay, let's paint. And we're going there, we clean it up and everything, and we get to paint it. So that's the part I love about the WrightWay360. It's fun. That part is fun.
Keep them in.
Keep them in
the process.
so they don't lose all the hard work you've done. And they will.
They will. If they're not involved in it. I agree. And that's why I don't necessarily believe in several generations of wealth.
Okay.
I believe in generational wealth. I'm going to leave to my daughter, and it's up to her to figure out how to leave to her children, because we see what happens with that money, and hopefully there is enough money that it just flows that way. But I'm not going to make it my life goal to make sure that 5 generations they tricking off my money. I had to go to get ghetto with y'all. They tricking out.
Give me that money back. You gonna come out.
Right, and I'm not saying that I don't want them to have that, but I want them to have it in a way that they really appreciate it and where they want it. Because even as a commercial agent, I have clients that are selling off a portfolio because their children don't want it, or the children let the portfolio, they don't take care of the portfolio because they didn't want it, but their parents worked so hard to give it to them or pass down the family business, and they don't want it.
And it's so sad. It's like the people that want can't get, and the people that has don't want it. So even like with when you're doing your trust, you can write to the T like exactly what you want done. So one of the things that we implemented, they have to have some type of trade or college degree.
Okay.
In order for them to receive any funding.
Okay.
From us. Yeah, we're gonna be mean. Sorry.
I think I'm like even in the grave.
And even in the grave, I'm gonna be petty. my mama.
Okay,
Yes, that's
right.
me.
I love it.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, you can.
Some type of stipulation.
You have to because, they, like you said, either they want it and they don't know how to use it. They lose it in less than a year. If you look around, like the basketball players and the football players, after they stop playing, they lose their money because they weren't taught about financial literacy, what to do with that money. It's the same thing when you build all of this and you leave it to your kids and you didn't teach them. They're gonna do the same thing. They're gonna just throw it away.
Yep. I swear this is just flowing because I was gonna. The next thing is the commonly overlooked thing. So, what is one thing you wish more investors would focus on but often overlook?
Focus on what's the next thing you want to do. So we need to sit down and strategize and decide, okay, do I want to continue buying more property, or do I want to buy and flip, or do I want to take that money and put it in a different type of investment? So I always tell, for me and my husband, we sit down a lot and decide, like, where do we see ourselves 5 years from now? You know, are we doing well? Is the number making sense? Do we need to sell property? Do we need to move our portfolio? So I think when you're just in that movement of just doing, you don't sit back and strategize and look at your whole portfolio and see what is actually going on, if it's something that you really want to do or change.
Right. You have to have that time.
Yes.
Okay, so not sitting back and evaluating the portfolio is
Correct.
commonly overlooked.
Because you're making money, so you're good. You're like, I'm making money.
But you could be making more if you sell this one that's not doing so great and now put that money somewhere else.
Yes.
And it doesn't even have to be back into real estate. You can do something else with it.
Yes.
Okay, y'all. Well, I hope you guys were listening because I definitely, every time I have this conversation with you guys, I take something else from it. And that scarcity mindset is less and less and less. I'm building up, y'all. Build up with us. That's why we're having these conversations. That is why we're having these conversations, because this is what we deal with in real life. Even as professionals in the industry, we still struggle with the same things that everyone else struggles with.
Absolutely.
So yeah, is there anything else you want to add?
No, that would be it. But I think you said something about building up. A lot of people I'm going to add what you just said. A lot of people don't realize what they see on social media, the glitz and glam. They don't realize how much work goes behind that. Because as entrepreneurs, if you don't work, you're not getting paid. And people thinking, oh my goodness, they're making all this type of money. I'd rather a 9 to 5 sometimes. Sometimes I wake up, I'm like, I think I want a 9 to 5 today.
I swear I want to work at home furniture.
Thank you. So I'm like, I'm like, is there a better way? You know, do I really want to get up right now and do what I need to do, or can I just go to a 9 to 5 and just? Well, I'm not saying anything bad about a 9 to 5.
Right.
Okay, I'm not saying that, but as an entrepreneur, I feel that you work 10 times more than having a 9 to 5, which I had both. So that's why I'm speaking on it, is because I'm like, it's a lot of work. Some days it's stressful, and some days you're like, okay, I know why I'm doing this, because I'm actually building my community, and we're actually giving homes to those that are less fortunate. We do take Section 8, so we do not shy away from that, because everybody needs a nice place to live, and that's what we believe in.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us again, and I look forward to our next conversation.
Yay,
so can you tell the people how they can find you and Lorenzo?
Yes, my name is Sarah Wright, aka Lady Flip Game, and my husband Lorenzo Wright. You can find an aka Flip Game Boss. I almost forgot that. You can find us at the WrightWay360 on all social media platforms. You can also find us at the WrightWay360.com.
Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.